So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our video of conjunction through houses. And today we're going to be discussing Moon and Saturn conjunction in your seventh house, as in what happens when these two planets, these two grahas, are conjunct in the seventh house of your birth chart. And as always, if you do not know if you have this particular position, what sign it's in, what nakshatra it's in, along with all your astrological details, check out the links here, KRSastrology.com, where under shop section, you'll find my books and reports and consultations. And especially in the report, on the second page, you'll even see the nakshatras of your Navamsha and Dasamsha. Okay. So, Moon, Saturn in the seventh house of your birth chart. So, obviously, as you know, seventh house is the house of marriage, unionship, other people, business, contracts. Okay. And then seventh house also represents the attainment of higher echelons in a person's life. Because seventh house is 10th from the 10th. So this is a concept known as bhavat bhavam. Okay, from a particular house. So the first thing you will see with Moon, Saturn in the seventh house, one of the biggest karmas for this individual is public service. Unless, for example, let's say Dasha is not running. A correct Dasha is not running of the seventh lord or Saturn or Moon. This person may not be able to give public service to people because it won't be in their consciousness. So, for example, even if you, let's say, I go into my own life and let's say, go into my previous Dasha, and you ask me to do certain things that I do now, but you asked me in the previous Dasha, I wouldn't be able to do it. My consciousness was completely different. And that's what happens within this tug of war of a birth chart, astrologer, and the client. The astrologer will give advice, and especially if it's this type of advice, the client may not resonate. They'll be like, yeah, it makes sense, but I'm too busy doing this. Within their own consciousness, they'll be like, I'm too busy doing this. How can I do this? Astrology, I don't know. It was entertainment. It was entertaining. It was a great reading. But yeah, I don't know if I'm capable of doing all that. And the person will go on doing exactly the karma that has been aligned for them by the will of the universe. Now, if the person uses their own will, and if, let's say, astrologer, like, for example, when I see Saturn and Moon in the seventh, I'm like, you must give public service. You must do something for the masses, where masses get directly impacted by you. Because remember, seventh house is the original sign of Libra. So seventh house will always have that soul of Libra there. I don't care what sign it is. It could be Aries. It could be Pisces. But, of course, the sign will show the type of public service. But this individual must give themselves to other people, to suffering of other people, most definitely. Because Saturn, Moon, see, Moon is nurturing. Moon is nourishment besides the graha of unraveling of karmas. Okay. Moon is the direct impact of our consciousness because it changes our consciousness based on the dasha. So Moon is a lot more than just like emotions. Okay. If you really want to know heightened emotions, it'll be more Venus, because Venus and Moon are both watery planets. It is Venus that is passionate enough to, feel that hurt. Moon simply derives the hurt through the time cycles that it's going through. But also, Moon is the significator of the mother too. Okay. And so we have to infuse the motherly qualities with the Moon. Then you have Saturn, which is karma, service, because Saturn is a servant. It is duty, commitment, and sacrifice in life. Only then you rise. So unless this person realizes that my karma if I really want to pay my karmas off, take care of the accumulated, bunched up karmas, I need to do something. Meaning, even if I'm, let's say, a lawyer in some Fortune 500 company, I'm a politician, I'm a software engineer. Or let's forget politician because they will do public service regardless, whether they mean it or not. But if you're in any of these other normal career, even then you must go and give yourself in service regardless of the dasha, because now your free will has to come into play. The will has to be strong. See, dashas give you their own will. They're like, this is the will we're putting upon you, so now you will be able to do this. So it's like Michael Jordan getting Scottie Pippen to win a championship. Michael knows, okay, now I have Scottie, I'm going to go out there and win championship. But Michael Jordan to win a championship without Scottie Pippen in NBA, there would be the requirement of tremendous will, tremendous strength, working perhaps twice as hard to get there, but one can get there. This is what happens with your free will and the dasha. So free will is there, but the thing is the free will that you get automatically. So if somebody is in Jupiter dasha, they could be more inclined towards, let's say, banking. I'm going to go for my MBA and I'm going to do banking. But Saturn dasha, okay, when Saturn wills comes upon this individual, they'll be like, okay, I want to serve a guru. I want to go volunteer at a retreat and just serve people food, clean the bathrooms, take care of the parking. That comes with Saturn. But the thing is, if you were to do that in Jupiter, you can do that in Jupiter. It just requires that change of consciousness through willpower of your own, which may or may not be strong, but this is the solution to that. Because this is going to help you tremendously to unload the karmas that you are here to kind of unravel. And the karmas are there in certain pockets, and perhaps a person never runs through a certain dasha and they're not able to deal with that, that service. Let's say a person with moon and Saturn is born in Saturn dasha itself. So the first 19 years, you're a teenager, you're growing up, and you don't have anything else to focus on except like your friends and your school. So then you get into Mercury and then Ketu and then Venus and then Sun, and then later in life, if you make it to Moon Dasha, okay, now the karma is unraveling. Or if, let's say, this was Mars' sign in Aries, you will have to wait till Mars comes into play. And then on the other hand, this also requires tremendous amount of sacrifice and duty within the marriage. One has to be this service to the spouse. Like, for example, spouse is the one sitting on a table, you're the waiter taking the order. This is how also then karmas get repaid. And this is when then person has issues within their marriage and relationship. They feel this melancholy coming through the concept of marriage because they are working extra hard and not being appreciated. Because, for example, Saturn is a servant. So when a servant does their work, when a waiter does their work, it's not like you feel like, wow, they just served me. No, automatically you're like, yeah, they're supposed to serve me. They're working in this particular place. So it's nothing special that is happening. So the other person doesn't appreciate that. And this is when then you will get consultations. Well, you will hear, the agony of the spouse. Okay, regardless of who it is. They're like, it's just this, I feel just completely unappreciated. Things are dry and bleak. So then what do? Then, of course, I will suggest, well, if you want to see difference in your marriage, do public service outside the marriage. Because then what is happening is you're diverting the direction of this karma to this side. So karma of service that you're supposed to do, because you're activated the seventh house with marriage, even the dasha is not there, is now activated. So now it says, okay, now this is activated. Well, you got this combination here, you're going to serve. And it's going to be perhaps the type of service you won't get appreciated for. So in order to be appreciated, go out there, let's say, like I said, be a volunteer at some spiritual retreat. Go out to some monastery near you on a weekend. Say, can I help you guys on the weekend with your satsang? And I can like help with the food. I can arrange this. I can put all the chairs out. Go to some nonprofit organization. Give yourself in service. But again, it's easy for me to spit it out here. But it's another thing for you to be like, yeah, I should do this. Because right now you might be like, oh, I'm working on this app and this startup. You know, I just want to know what else you're going to say about this video regarding marriage. I don't want to hear about the public service part. This is what happens. It is because we are humans. We're not Superman. We are controlled by a lot of strings of the cosmos. And then, of course, you will also see as soon as marriage becomes activated, depending upon how close this conjunction is of Saturn and Moon, one may travel. And here's the thing, marriage is not a bad thing with this combination because Saturn receives its full directional strength. Marriage can actually be intact for a long period of time. It will prolong itself. You know, if other planetary placements are not affecting or the seventh lord is not being affected, you can see that Saturn finds its direction in commitment, in union. Okay. So this is where it works, but then the moon comes into play. Okay. And this can also show that a person naturally is very inclined towards working hard. Like if you own a business with this conjunction, you will be the hardest business person, you know, that people will get to understand. You'll be working 18 hours a day to make sure that your business is doing fine. So it's actually a great yoga for hard working because the mind is occupied by karma. Okay, here I am, talking about these transcendental karmas that, hey, give yourself in service to people. But you are also stuck in a particular karma that, okay, I need to make this money because I want my wife, my husband, or my kids to move into this nice gated community and we have to make this money. And I know I can do this. I'm going to do it. So you are still determined on that karmic path. See, Moon Saturn is one of the best combinations for getting your goals done and not giving up on things. Because as soon as the mind starts giving up on things, Saturn just comes in, with its ruler and hits Moon. Like, nope, we can't divert from this path. We got to work. So this is a combination of a workaholic. So you shouldn't be feeling like, oh, Moon Saturn, it's a Visha yoga. No, there are all kinds of types of Visha yoga. There could be 12 types of Visha yoga, depending upon which house it's in. This is actually the house of media. Not the media meaning this combination, the seventh house is of a public figure. Someone who, because Saturn is public. Saturn rules the most outer house, the 10th house. Moon naturally represents public in Vedic astrology, not Nadi, but just in Vedic itself, the Parashri astrology. Because Moon rules the 4th house of the homeland and everybody within that homeland. So it's a great combinations for whether it's actor, actresses, politicians, musicians. So you want to take advantage of this. But how do you activate it? Well, again, coming back to the simple basic, do public service. So this way that karma doesn't transfer onto the marriage and it balances that out. Okay. So anyway, guys, this is my analysis of Saturn Moon conjunction in the 7th house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you don't miss this type of videos. You want to know where your Saturn is placed along with Moon and all your astrology details. Check out the links here, KRSchannel Astrology. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.